So we'll slowly start with the October Clevertouch webinar, okay? And this is our Clevertouch homepage here. So we have two side arrows and we also have an arrow at the bottom of the screen. If I tap on that bottom arrow, it's going to give me an access to different features or different inputs, okay? So as you can see, I'm currently running the screen off that Lux. Lux is the Android system that's built into my Clevertouch display. So bear in mind your Clevertouch display is like a big computer or a big tablet that already has a brain or a system of its own, okay? So there is not much need to share your laptop to the screen, but it is an option there, okay? So as I said, if I tap on that down arrow, I can see all the different options that I can use for when I'm sharing my laptop or my computer to the screen with a wire. As you can see, I have a few HDMI options, I have a DisplayPort option, and I also have a Type-C option as well. Now, if I'm using a HDMI connection and if I'm sharing my laptop to the screen via HDMI, it's going to give me audio and visual. So what that means is it's going to give me the audio and the video from my laptop to the screen. So I'm going to be able to see and I'm going to be able to hear what's currently happening on my laptop to the Clevertouch screen itself. Now that works the same way for my DisplayPort. So I get that my DisplayPort wired connection. So I get that audio and visual with it as well. Now, if I want to have two-way touch between the laptop and the screen, so what that means is I'm able to navigate around my laptop from the screen itself when I'm using my HDMI or DisplayPort. I also need to use this additional cable. So again, you only have to use this when you're using HDMI or DisplayPort. This cable has a square end and it also has a USB end, okay? The square end would go into the Clevertouch display and the USB end goes into your laptop. Again, that gives you that two-way touch between the laptop and the screen so you can navigate around your laptop from the Clevertouch itself. Now if I tap on that down arrow again, so we went through HDMI and we went through DP, which is a DisplayPort, we also have a Type-C option. So if you are connecting your laptop or your computer to the screen via Type-C, which in my opinion is probably the best wired option, you're going to receive audio, visual, you're also going to receive touch without having to use that additional cable that I showed you earlier, and you will also be able to charge your device while you're presenting on the screen. So I think if you are going for a wired option, Type-C option could be the best for you. And there's another way of sharing your laptop to the screen, and that would be wirelessly through an app called Clevershare. So what you have to do is you have to download Clevershare to your laptop or your computer. You can download it from your Microsoft App Store, from your iOS App Store. You can download it from the Chromebook Play Store as well, and etc. Okay, you can also look up Clevershare download on your browser, and you can download it that way through the Clevertouch website. Now, once I have Clevershare downloaded on my laptop, I want to make sure my laptop is connected to the same Wi-Fi or the same network as my Clevertouch interactive display is connected to. So as you can see, this is my Clevershare code here along the top. So I'm going to type that code into my Clevershare app. Now, once that code is typed in, I have that screen share option. So I'm going to tap on start and I'm going to tap on mirror on my laptop. And as you can currently see, you're able to see my laptop on the Clevertouch display itself. Now, as you can see, I have no cables going from my laptop to the screen, and I'm able to wirelessly navigate around my laptop from the Clevertouch screen itself. Now, at the bottom left side of my screen, I have a small arrow. So I'm always going to have that arrow when I'm using that wireless screen sharing connection. In here, I have a little shutdown icon that's going to allow me to stop that screen sharing. Next to that, I have a window with an arrow. That's actually going to bring my connection into a smaller window, and I'm able to move that window around. So this could be useful if we have a whiteboard open on the screen. We can have our screen sharing from our laptop to the Clevertouch in a smaller window, and we're able to use our whiteboard, for example, at the same time. Now, if I tap on that down arrow again, next to that shutdown icon, I can tap on the same window with an arrow to full screen that again. Next to that, I have a keyboard. So the keyboard will actually bring in an on-screen keyboard on my laptop. So this could be useful if we're, for example, looking to type something into our browser on the laptop. We don't have to walk back to our laptop and use the actual keyboard on the laptop or the computer itself. We can just bring in an on-screen keyboard using that small arrow and that keyboard icon there. Next to that, I have an audio icon. If I tap on it, I'm able to mute the audio coming from the laptop to the screen itself. Another great feature, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, is that we can have up to 9 devices sharing to the screen at the same time. So we can have 3, 4, 5, and etc. devices sharing to the Clevertouch at the same time. So it could be used probably for different projects, for example, and there's multiple teachers in that teacher meeting. All of them can share their laptops to the Clevertouch screen at once. Now, as I mentioned previously, we do have that other feature that's called Desktop Sync. So Desktop Sync will allow us to, so to confirm that connection there, it will allow us to see what's currently happening on the Clevertouch screen on our own device. As you can see, I have that access here. Now I can enable touch. So if I go into that 6-digit code at the top, and if I tap on view the main interface, I can go into my devices and I can have touch enabled for different users. As you can see, I'm currently connected with Avio.ie Surface Pro, and I have this little finger pointer tool and I have a tick next to it. So what that means is I'm able to actually navigate around the screen from my own laptop, okay? So this could be useful for different students that might be visually impaired, or different students that might be disabled and would like to interact with the screen, but they're unable to come up to the screen, okay? That desktop sync feature could be very useful for them. If you're able to get Clevershare downloaded onto their device, they're able to interact with the screen from their own device if they have that touch enabled on the screen. Now that's our different connections that we have. So we have wireless screen connections and we have wired screen connections. I'm just going to mention another thing that we have, another feature that we have inside that bottom arrow is our brightness of the screen that we can adjust and our volume of the display as well. So every Clevertouch display comes with a set of speakers here built in at the bottom of the board. So your Clevertouch screen already comes with speakers, so you're able to adjust the volume there inside those settings if you wish to do so. Now we have 2 side arrows, one on the left and one on the right side of the screen. So you can use either arrow depending on which screen side you're standing at, okay? Along the top, we have an access to a whiteboard. So in this training session, I'm going to be going through the Links whiteboard. If you use the other whiteboard, which is called the Legacy whiteboard, I won't be going through it in this session, which is more of a simplified whiteboard, but I would highly advise, since this is an education webinar as well, so I'm assuming everyone here is from an education sector, I would highly advise to use the Links whiteboard if you do come from an education sector, as it's tailored for education, for schools, primary, secondary schools, and etc. So with the Links whiteboard, we're able to make a free account. So to make a free Links whiteboard account, what you want to do is you want to go into the Links whiteboard website. The link for the Links whiteboard website is linkscloud.app. Okay, so that's linkscloud.app, and you're able to go into their website and you're able to sign in and then create an account that way. Okay, we also have a few guides on our YouTube channel, so Avio Presentation Systems on YouTube, which I'll show you at the end of the session, where you can find different guides on how to create an account and how to connect it to your cloud drive. Okay, so once you have a Links whiteboard account, you're able to connect that account to your Google Drive or your OneDrive. Okay, so once you have it connected to your Google Drive or OneDrive, you can tap on sign in. So you don't have to sign in every time, but you can tap on sign in, and then in here is going to take you into this window. You're able to sign into your Links whiteboard account by using the QR code option. So you can scan that QR code with your phone. And you can sign in through your phone using your email and your password that you used for your Links whiteboard account, okay? Now I can X out of that top left side of the screen, and I currently have access to all my files that are connected to my Links whiteboard account. I can tap on new to open up a new Links whiteboard sheet. Now I have 1/1 at the bottom side of the screen, and I can tap on add page to add multiple pages onto that Links whiteboard, okay? As you can see, I currently have 1/3, meaning that I'm on the first page of that 3-page file, okay? At the bottom middle of the screen, I have a finger pointer tool The finger pointer tool, when it's selected, as you can see, there's a blue line under, which means that's selected. So when my finger pointer tool is selected, I'm able to select different lines on the screen or different writings on the screen, and I'm able to resize them as well. Next to that finger pointer tool, we have a little pen icon or a little ink icon. This is going to give us access to our pencil case, what I call it, okay? So in here, we have a choice of different pens. So I can tap on one of the pens, like my ink pen, and this is going to give me a choice of that pen. Next to that, it's going to give me a choice of horizontal lines, which will allow me to resize that pen. So I'm just going to grab my pencil tool. So it's going to allow me to resize that pen. And I can use the little square in here to change the color of that pen as well. And then afterwards, I can annotate on the screen. I can use if I tap on that ink icon again, it's going to bring me into this pencil case, okay? So I'm just going to go through that just one more time just to make sure you're able to get into it. So we have that ink icon. We tap on one of the pens, like that ink pen. Then we're going to get this menu here, and then we tap on that ink pen here along the top next to our horizontal lines to get into our pencil case. And next to my ink pen, I have a highlighter. So I can change the size of my highlighter and I can change the color of it. We can highlight different things on the screen that way too. So this can be highlighting different things in our files and etc. If I tap on the highlighter again, I can go into the laser and I can use the laser to point different things out on the screen. But that laser will disappear after a few seconds on the screen. I also have different tools like my rainbow pen. So rainbow pen will be very popular in primary school. Anytime you lift your finger or your pen off the screen, the color of that pen will change. Next to that, I have an animated rainbow, which is constantly going to change the color of that pen. And then under that, I have a curve tool. So I'm just going to X out of that while I have that curve tool selected. So with the curve tool, I'm able to draw a line on the screen. After I'm able to use that finger pointer tool to select that line, and I'm able to use the green circles on that line to create a curve on it, okay? So again, it could be a good way to introduce geometry to our students, to show our students how we're able to make curves on certain lines and edit them around. And then of course we also have that eraser that we're able to use to erase different lines on the screen. Next to that pencil icon, we have a T letter. The T letter, once I select that T letter, I'm able to type on the screen with my keyboard. So as you can see, I currently have it selected. So I'm going to tap anywhere on the screen, depending on where I want to type. My keyboard will come up and I'm able to use it to annotate on the screen. I can move my writing around and I can resize it as well. So that's some of the different tools that we can use to type on the screen, for example. And that's one way to do when you're writing it in the whiteboard. Now we also have a little paint pot here. The paint pot will allow me to change the color of my background, or when I select certain colors, it will allow me to change the color of my lines on the screen as well. If I tap on that plus icon, the plus icon will allow me to bring in, so the plus icon would actually be probably the most important or the most popular kind of area inside the Lynx whiteboard. So we have this media option. So media will allow me to bring in different photos from different online sources, different YouTube videos, and etc. Okay, so for example, I have a Google option here along the top. I can look up different pictures on Google, okay? So if we look up, let's say we're learning about different countries. If we look up Norway, so we're able to drag and drop different pictures from Norway. Let's say we're looking at different landscapes from able to drag and drop them onto the screen, and we're able to resize them and move them around the screen too. Now bear in mind, all these are safe search, and I can also bring in YouTube videos that are cleansed of ads as well. So for example, if I tap on that Google icon there next to my search bar, I'm able to get back into that menu where I'm able to look up different things on the screen. So I can choose the YouTube option, and then in here I'm able to drag and drop different pictures of Norway, for example, onto the screen. I can use the play button. That's going to take a few seconds to load up, and then afterwards I'm able to watch that YouTube video on the screen without any ads. So that's the features that we have inside our plus icon and inside our media here. Next to our media, we also have access to our content. So content will allow us to bring in different backgrounds onto that sheet, or it will allow us to bring in different features for different subjects, okay? So for example, I can go into backgrounds and I can tap on line paper and I can drag and drop a line paper background onto the screen. Now to get back into that menu with my different subjects, or to get back into the menu where my options for my backgrounds were, I can tap on backgrounds here along the top and I can bring in this transparent background option to get rid of that background, and maybe then we can drag and drop a matte background onto the screen and etc. Along the top here I have home, so I'm able to go back to the home where I have different options for different subjects. So we can go into matte and we can drag and drop our ruler onto the screen. So we have rulers both in centimeters and inches, and we can place two of our fingers on the screen, and we can encourage our students to try and draw a line on the screen. So we can use the blue and the red notch to draw a line on the screen, and then we can use the little stamp tool to stamp how long our certain lines on the screen were. Now in here we have different tools for maths that we can use on screen, like angle measuring tool and etc. So you can kind of play around with that and try and use it in your own time in class as well. Now if I go back to home here along the top, I also have different options for different subjects. So we're geography, science, history, flowcharts, shapes, sports, and etc. So again, you can go into these in your own time and explore which object from there would suit your class the best. If I go back into that plus icon, so we're just going to switch pages. If I go back into the plus icon, I also have access to different shapes, okay? So I'm able to go into those shapes and I'm able to draw different shapes onto my screen. Now another great feature inside our shapes is if I go into the paint pot and if I go into this little crop icon, I'm actually able to use this shape split feature. I'm able to place my pen or my finger on that shape and I'm able to split it into different parts. Afterwards, I'm able to take out those parts, I'm able to select them, and I'm able to use this 90-degree angle to see the radius, angle, and area percentage, for example, of that shape as well. We have a plus icon again, so under our shapes we have an option for page link. Page link will allow us to link a certain page to our current page, okay? So I don't think it would be too important, but it is a feature where we can go from page 8 to page 1, for example, using that page link feature. Next to that, we also have a table, so we can bring a 4x4 table, for example, onto the screen and we can move it around. Back into the plus icon next to that, we have a browse feature. So this would be very, very useful for you if you have access to your Google Drive or your OneDrive if you connected it to your Links account, okay? If I hit the plus icon and if I go into browse files, in here I'm able to go into my Google Drive and I'm able to bring in any sort of file into my Links whiteboard, okay? So for example, I'm just going to choose the PDF file in this instance just by double tapping on it. I can resize that file, then we'll give it a few seconds to load up. Once that file is loaded up, I'm able to use the little arrow to navigate around different pages of that file. So the little arrow where it says 2/2. And I'm able to use my pens, like my highlighter pen, to highlight different things on that file as well. So that's the different features that we have inside the plus icon. Now along the bottom right side of the screen, we have a small arrow. That's our undo and redo option as well if we wish to use it. Now once we're done using the Links whiteboard, what we can do is we can use the three lines at the bottom left side of the screen to either share and print. So for example, that share and print feature, if we tap on share, that share and print feature will allow us to, it will create a QR code for us and it will allow our students or our colleagues to scan that QR code and save that presentation onto their device. And there's another way of saving our files. It's by tapping on that three-line menu again. You can use this feature, Save As, and you can save those files to your Google Drive, your OneDrive, or your Links Cloud account as well. You can name the file by tapping on that empty line at the bottom left side of that window. And you can also change the file type by tapping on Links option there. So you can keep the file type as a links file, which means that when you go back into that file, you will be able to edit it around, you'll be able to delete different lines on the screen and etc. Or you can change the file type to a PDF file. Once it's a PDF file, it's essentially a set file where you can't delete different things from it. So in my opinion, 95% of the times you should save it as a links file, unless you're looking to share that file out to your colleagues or your students, then maybe save it as a PDF file in that instance, okay? Once you're done with that, you can tap on save option and that file will save onto your cloud drive or whichever option you chose on the screen. I'm just going to take us back to the home menu. So that was our links whiteboard, and I've done some wireless screen sharing and wired screen sharing as well. Now I'm going to take you through a few different options then under our whiteboard. We have our finder here, okay? So our finder is essentially like our files, okay? So in here we have access to our local storage or to our cloud storage on our display. So what I mean by that is, as you can see, I'm currently on storage, so that's my local storage of the display. I can go on cloud drive and I have access to my cloud storage of the display as well because I connected it directly to the display. So I can tap on add, and in here I can add an account like my Google Drive, Dropbox, or my OneDrive, for example. Now we also have this pencil icon that will always be on the side of our screen, okay? So that pencil icon will be there whether we're in HDMI connection, wireless screen sharing, Links Whiteboard app, in any of those instances, okay? This pencil icon is like our navigation bar, okay? It allows us to navigate around the screen a little bit easier. So I'm just going to take us through all the features that we have on the pencil icon. Along the top, I have an access to a lock. So once we have a lock set on the screen, we're able to use that option, obviously, to lock the screen. Under that, we have a little arrow that's going to take us back out of different pages. Under that, we have a home icon that's going to take us back to the home menu of our Clevertouch display. So the home menu was this two side arrows with a bottom arrow. Under that, we have a HDMI icon, so that's going to bring up that menu from the bottom of the screen, okay? I'm able to change the volume of the display, and I'm able to choose my connections inside that menu as well. Under the HDMI icon, I have a whiteboard icon with a pencil that's going to take us to our links whiteboard. Under that, we have two windows together, so that's going to show us different apps that are currently active in the background, okay? So if you ever notice that your display might be a little bit slower than usual, it might be worth using that two windows option, and it might be worth just deleting some of the apps from the background, as it might just have a higher impact on your Clevertouch display. So if you want it to be a bit faster, just load it free from those apps just by deleting them from the background. Another option under those two windows together is a magnifying glass with a plus sign. Once I tap on that, I'm able to zoom into different parts of the screen, and it also freezes my screen as well. Above the magnifying glass with a plus sign, we also have this pencil icon, that's going to freeze our screen again, and we're able to use our pens to annotate over different parts of that screen. So we can tap on our pen icon to change the colors of that pen. We can also tap on the highlighter to highlight different things on the screen too. Again, we can tap on it to change the colors of that highlighter as well. We can save that snip with those annotations. We can use the QR code to share that snip with those annotations to our colleagues, or we can use the little cloud option to upload that snip with those annotations onto our cloud drive. Above the pencil icon, we also have a snipping tool. Snipping tool will allow us to snip different parts of the screen, and then we're able to tap on the insert option to insert that snip into our links whiteboard. Above that, we also have a spanner tool. Spanner tool will allow us to add in a spotlight onto different parts of the screen. Then we can use the settings option to change the clarity of the screen and the size of that spotlight. That could be useful if we're looking to get the students to only focus on one part of the screen, for example. And then here we also have a timer and a stopwatch as well. So a few different features that we can find within those options. So I'm just going to go back to the home menu, and I'm going to take us through a few different options that we have inside that side arrow. Under our finder, we have a browser, so that's fairly straightforward, just a normal browser, the same way it would work on your computer, your phone, and etc. Under our browser, we have an access to a Clever Live Store. So depending on which model of Clevertouch you have, some of them have access to the Clever Live Store, which gives you an access to different apps That store is made by Clevertouch, so it gives you an access to about 100 or 200 different educational apps, or different apps like your Firefox browser and etc. And then some screens have access to our Google Play Store. So more of the newer screens will have access to the Google Play Store. So if your screen has access to the Google Play Store, you have to sign it into your Google account to be able to download different apps from it. But if your screen has an access to a Clever Live Store, you don't need to make an account, or you don't need to sign into any account. You can just swipe up or down, and you can use the search bar at the top right side to look up different apps on that Clever Live Store. Under our Clever Live Store, we also have access to our active, so that's our active apps in the background. So as I mentioned, if your screen does feel a bit slower sometimes, just swipe out different apps from the background to make sure they're closed down. Under our active, we have a lock, so again, we can use that lock to lock our screen. And then under that, we have apps, so these are different apps that are currently downloaded on the screen. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly go through some of the settings that we have on our Clevertouch displays. And then if you'd like to put any questions in the Q&A box, feel free to do so, okay? So inside our settings, if I tap on those settings, we have a few different options. Now again, if your Clevertouch model is a little bit older, you might just have access to different settings in here, or they just might look a bit different, but essentially all the settings are the same. So we have our wireless and networks, or those are our Wi-Fi, Ethernet settings, and etc. So this is where we can connect our Clevertouch to Wi-Fi, which I'm presuming most people already have done so. We also have access to personal here. So personal will give us access to a few different features, like our wallpaper, for example, our default whiteboard. So this is actually quite an important part here, okay? So we might, if when you tap on the side arrow and you tap on that green icon, if that takes you into a different whiteboard on your display other than the Lynx whiteboard, then you might want to go into those personal settings, and you might want to look for the whiteboard option and make sure that Lynx whiteboard is set as the default whiteboard off the screen. Now, if a Clevertouch display is a little bit older of a model, it might not be in personal settings. It should be in your apps, or it should be in the three dots where it says more inside your settings as well, okay? We also have different user settings here. So users are, we can make multiple users for our Clevertouch display, okay? So for example, you can see that I have the owner here. I can use this edit icon to put a password on that owner account, and I can use this option that says add user to obviously add more users onto that account if I wish to do so. Under that, I have input and output settings. So here I can rename my inputs and outputs, so I don't think that's too important. Under that, I have different applications. So these are different applications that are currently downloaded on our Clevertouch display, where we might need to add different permissions to different apps once we download them first onto our display. I'm not going to go through it too much, but in case you do need to add or allow certain permissions, you might just have to go into your settings, go into a certain application, and just toggle those permissions on. Under that, we have system settings. So these could be very actually useful for each one of you. So inside our system settings, we have this option that's called startup and shutdown, okay? At the very bottom, you're able to add a boot task, and you're able to add an off task, okay? So what that means is that you're able to set the screen to turn on, let's say Monday to Friday at 8:30, and you're able to get it to turn off at a set time as well, which could be, let's say 4 p.m., 3:30 p.m., and etc. Okay, so you can add a boot task, which would mean that that's when the screen is turning on, and you can add an off task, which means that that's when the screen is turning off. So that then your screen can automatically turn on and off, so it's ready to go whenever you arrive in the school. Now inside the system settings, you also have access to your system update option. I would highly advise to put this down in your notes and just to check for any updates that you might need on your screen, okay? So you want to go into your system, and then you want to go into your system update and just check for any updates on the screen. Now again, on the more older Clevertouch models, it might be in your about device settings that you can find your system updates, but either way, just try and look for those updates and try and update the screen, okay? Once you press on download, that update has to download up to 100%. Once it's downloaded, you can run the update or install the update afterwards, okay? That will take over your screen for maybe 20 or 30 minutes. So if you are looking to update the screen and you're maybe leaving the classroom soon, just do it tomorrow morning, maybe when you're in the class, okay? So just make sure that update can be done without any interruption. So it has to download first and then install afterwards.